Two traditional powerhouses struggling to maintain relevance this season. Oklahoma and Texas face off in the Red River Rivalry. Here's a quick breakdown of each team's current status, keys to victory, and final prediction for the game. Let's start with Oklahoma. I said last week's game could be described as ugly. This was an abomination. The only sweet release from the pain were cuts ESPN made to Aaron Judge trying to hit dingers, and even that was frustrating. But let's start with the offense, which was the lesser of the two evils Saturday. It was tough from the jump. Dillon Gabriel was inaccurate on easy completions, which had a lot of message board Sooner fans calling for the backup. Unfortunately, they got their wish after Gabriel got injured and likely concussed. If it isn't evident to all the complaining fans, Gabriel is the starter for a reason. Bevel looked lost out there, and the Sooners are in hot water at quarterback if Gabriel isn't healthy next week. While we didn't see Marcus Major out there, we did get a dose of Javonte Barnes, who recorded his first 2 touchdowns of the season and was the lone bright spot with over 100 yards rushing. At the end of the day, all you could really pull from this game is without Dillon Gabriel at the helm, the Sooner offense is in trouble. On to the defense. I thought the performance against Kansas State was bad, thought it was an aberration, but TCU showed this clearly wasn't the case. The Oklahoma defense did just about everything they could possibly do wrong. Missed tackles? Check. Bad pursuit angles? Check. Terrible coverage? Check. Little to no pressure on the quarterback? Check. Missed assignments leading to easy walk-in touchdowns? Check. I'll be honest, I legitimately do not have a single good thing to say about this defensive performance. The only hope is that this is just some growing pains as the team adjusts to a new scheme, and boy do they hurt. It's become clear that the Sooners aren't who many of us thought they were in the preseason and over the first few games. A Big 12 title isn't happening. The defense is still a complete mess, and the offense needs work on both the side of the coaches and the players. Honestly, the worst part of this game were the multiple injuries to key players on both sides of the ball, so it's going to be interesting to see who is actually available to play next week. None of those injuries were as scary as the ones suffered by Damon Harmon, who I hope is safe and makes a full recovery. The Sooners head back to the Lone Star State to face rival Texas this week. Somehow, Texas was once again back, then not back. It's becoming a bit of a tradition at this point. Coming into 2022, the jury was still out on the team. Sure, they finished 5-7 last year, including a 6-game losing streak in the second half of the season. But as usual, the team clearly has some talent, especially on the offensive side of the ball. With a head coach like Steve Sarkisian, you expect your team to be putting up big-time numbers on offense. Last year, the Longhorns put up a respectable 424 yards and 35 points per game, and this year has been pretty similar. 417 yards and nearly 37 points per game. This checks out considering outside of quarterback, Texas returned nearly all their production from skill position players. Talent has never been a problem in Austin, and that continues to be the case. Running back Bijan Robinson is one of the most talented backs in the nation, putting up over 700 total yards and 9 touchdowns on the year, which ranks him near the top of the Big 12 statistically. At receiver, the Longhorns boast a dangerous duo of Xavier Worthy and Jordan Whittington. Unfortunately, Texas has also been plagued by injuries. Wide receiver Isaiah Nayer, a transfer from Wyoming who had 12 receiving touchdowns last year, out for the season. Offensive lineman Junior Angelau, projected starter, out for the season. And of course, the most well-documented injury was to starting quarterback Quinn Ewers, who was poised to lead Texas to a potential program-changing upset win over Alabama before getting hurt. Hudson Card has stepped up into the starting role and has been serviceable but hasn't really stood out so far this season, although he did have a great game against West Virginia. Reports have come out that Ewers might be good to play Saturday, which would be great news for the Longhorns. Even with the current injuries, the offense has all the tools it needs to succeed. The question seems to be, can the defense hold their side of the bargain? The Texas defense struggled last year in just about every facet of the game, so the Longhorns opened up the pocketbook and brought in former TCU head coach Gary Patterson as a special assistant. 2 leading tacklers from last year return and continue to make an impact in linebackers DeMarvion Overshown and Jalen Ford. As a whole, the defense shone in the first 2 games of the season, stifling UL Monroe and holding a typically dominant Alabama offense to just 20 points. However, against Texas Tech, the defense went through another second-half meltdown. Last week, Texas contained a West Virginia offense that was putting up over 42 points per game to just 20, so there was some progress on that front. As has been typical for the Texas program as of late, the defense just needs to work on being more disciplined, wrap up on tackles, and you can get the job done. Defense needs to have a decent game next week because despite the Sooners' recent offensive struggles, if they get in a groove, they make life tough for anyone. Texas has shown they have the potential to play at an incredibly high level. You don't play Alabama that close with a backup quarterback as a bad team. But one game, whether good or bad, does not define a season. Each week is its own microcosm, so it will be a matter of which Texas team shows up to Dallas this week. Keys to victory. While Dillon Gabriel has put up solid numbers this year, he doesn't take too many chances throwing the football. Where he excels is when Oklahoma has opened up the field off successful run plays. If the Texas defense can stop Oklahoma from running the football and force Levy to get pass happy, the fast-paced Oklahoma offense might be on and off the field quick. And if Gabriel is out, Texas should rest easy, knowing that Davis Beville is not Caleb Williams. Texas OU games as of late have felt like a comedy of errors when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. When I think of the Texas defense against Oklahoma, I think of CeeDee Lamb breaking about 6 tackles on his way to a touchdown. This key is simple: wrap up the ball carrier. Texas fans have been begging for it for years. Just do it. Second half woes have continued for Texas into this season. Last year's Red River Rivalry was a prime example of a Texas second half collapse. The Longhorns need to win the second half of this game if they hope to take the Golden Hat back to Austin. This Sooners offense does a great job once it gets rolling, but that's the problem. The ignition takes some time. It's vital to get that initial first down to begin pushing the pace. If not, we may be seeing flashbacks to 3-and-outs from last week. Multiple times against TCU, the Oklahoma defense missed key assignments. Whether it was a defensive back biting and leaving their man wide open, or a terrible angle being taken leading to being burnt for a touchdown, just about everything went wrong. Texas has a bunch of players capable of breaking off big plays, and I guarantee they will unless Oklahoma cleans up these errors and plays mistake-free football on defense. I said it last week, I'll repeat it this week. This is a direct message to the defense. Last week didn't happen. It can't happen. The bad tackling, the breakdowns, the mental errors. Get back to playing the type of defense you played the first 3 games of the season. If the Sooner D can get their minds right ahead of Saturday, then the game should be close. And if they don't, best believe I'll be repeating this next week. There are 2 big elephants in the room, Quinn Ewers and Dillon Gabriel. The status of these 2 will significantly impact how this game goes. I'm currently working under the assumption that they will both be healthy and playing. Expect another close game with very little defense being played on either end, as has become a Red River rivalry traditionally. But you can bet I'm not picking against my Sooners against Texas. OU rebounds in a must-win game, 48-45. Both teams will be headed to the SEC soon. Check out my future SEC tier list video here. And as always, have a great day and see y'all at the next one.